Hi there, welcome to Word on Wednesday. It's our midweek opportunity to pause and reflect on things we looked at Gather Worship on Sunday. Now this Sunday was our all-age service and it was our last in the series, Serving and Sharing. That's been our theme through September. Serving and sharing. What does it look like? And we've been examining some characters from the scriptures to see what we might learn from them. You know, what was it they were known for? How did God use them and draw them into his purposes and service? That was our question. This week we didn't look at just one person. We looked at a whole community of people. We looked at the early church from the book of Acts. We are in chapter 2 verses 42 to 47 and chapter 4 32 to 37. And we were trying to think about in relation to what it might look like for us serving and sharing. What did it look like for them? How did they do it? And is there something we can learn from them? Before we did that, we paused to think about this inward and outward dynamic to their life and how that might be reflected in our own lives now, in our kind of shared life. So we were thinking about the inward resourcing of our life. We were thinking about life groups, a pastoral care team, and we were thinking about or celebrating those people who had that kind of unique ministry, that behind the scenes ministry of writing cards and letters of encouragement and consistently doing that. And then the outward dynamic, we were thinking about lunch bunch for our senior friends. We were thinking about HITS, Homeless in Cambridge support. And we were thinking about the food hub, which is something in the town that is set up to address food wastage. So these things are good. But we're asking, was there something more in terms of what an inward and outward dynamic might look like of serving and sharing in God's purposes? And what we noticed from the early community was that they were open to worship. They were open to worship, weren't they? They worshipped, they praised, and they dedicated themselves to pray. They were also open to learn. They were eager to learn. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, we're told. And they were free to love. They didn't hold their possessions as their own, we're told. They kind of lived their life with open hands, if you like. That was the inward dynamic. It was how they kind of, the dynamic of their shared life, if you like. And for their outward life, that shape of, what did it look like for them to look beyond themselves? And we were thinking about how they were public with their faith. They didn't hide away in rooms and lock rooms anymore, did they? The coming of the Spirit kind of gave them a boldness. We know from the book of Acts that trouble is not far off. But they were bold. At this time they were bold. They met in the temple courts. They were open, public with their faith. And also they were eager with the message. We're told that the apostles ministered in signs and wonders, and they testified to the resurrection of Jesus with great power. What was the result of this inward aspect to their life? Well, we're told they were kind of awestruck, and the grace of God was on them. Grace of God was on them. What was the effect of this outward kind of looking? Well, there were no needs among them. There were no needs among them. And the Lord added to their number daily. We were asking ourselves, is there a secret formula here? Can we just kind of spot it? We do that and then everything kicks in and is wonderful. Well, I don't know if it works like that because we are not there and we're not them. We are us and we're here. But if there is a key, I think it's this. Our serving and sharing will look like whatever we are willing to say yes to under the prompt of God. That's the key. Whatever we are willing to say yes to under the prompt of God. That's the opportunity. That's the possibility. That's the freedom. That's the joy of the journey that is ahead of us. It will look like whatever we are willing to say yes to under the prompt of God. So I don't know what's stirring for you now. It could be something bubbling for you. The Lord's kind of poking you and prodding you, and he's been doing that for a little bit. Maybe he wants to use you to poke and prod us and to get us bubbling with his plans and his purposes. So I encourage you to keep working with that. Don't ignore it. Don't shut it off. Be open to God, because that's the key. What are we willing to say yes to under his prompt? Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And as you continue to work that question, may God bless you richly. Amen.